Hi, you guys. Surprise. Audit texted me earlier and said, "Hey, I'm on my way to the police commission." And I said, "Well, the agenda's not on the police commission website." And she said, "Well, I just received it." And I said, "Okay, well, surprise, supplies." Hey, Miriam. Yep. So, supplies meeting. I'm already logged in, so hopefully, and maybe because the agenda wasn't on there, maybe we'll all get in. That would be a good thing. That would be awesome sauce. So let's see what happens. And I forgot to turn my thing on from this morning, so might as well do that now. No agenda shenanigans. Yep. So we'll turn this one on too. I may have to sneak into the ladies' room before we get going though. I did not know about it either. Hello, Irish. Told you it's the supplies. Here, let me copy and paste the agenda, the Zoom link. And maybe because nobody knows about it, we might actually get to speak today. That would be a benefit. Here is the link. You don't have it on the website. Here, I just sent it to you. There is the Zoom link. Yeah, as I said, Audit said she was on her way, and I said, to what? Yep, hold on, I'll be right back. Gonna run to the ladies' room after I just killed my phone. Ugh, I hate it when that happens. Throw everything on the floor, now I gotta try and pick it up. Be right back. Muriel, you're in charge. need for me to come do it right now. Can wait. Sorry, guys, had to run to the toilet. Yeah, right, Peter. We didn't have any notifications on this. So hopefully, hey, Peter, I got your email. Yeah, I know, this was a sneaky one. Did you get in, Amy? I know, but they're through their Brown Act, they're supposed to put them on their website. So Audit had a theory about it, and I heard a little bit of what she said, but I didn't hear everything as she was on the train. Because it's hard to hear when somebody's on the train. Let's see. This is the Zoom. So we get a surprise. Sorry, I need to type something out real quick. I'm typing away, and I'm hoping that I'm typing. Guys, sorry, I'm typing. Talk amongst yourselves, because I just got surprised on this one, so. I'm trying to write something out. I'm probably going to be talking my. Here we go.
Recording in progress.
Okay, well, I've got something typed out. Let me see if I got it. Do. I'm going to say some of what I said last week, or the week before, but I've changed it up just a little bit.
Commissioners, Chief McDonald, Mr. Sibley, Madam Secretary, Inspector General Matthew Barragan, Mr. City Attorney Carlos de la Guerra, and members of the public. Today is Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect that Commissioners Southers, Shields, Garcia, Sanchez, Gordon are present, and we have a quorum. Mr. President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this morning. The Police Commission is committed to ensuring equal access to its meetings. It is requested that individuals who require the services of a translator contact the board secretary no later than the day preceding the meeting. Whenever possible, a translator will be provided. Sign language interpreters, assistive listening devices, or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make your request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. All public comment will be heard during item number 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you're free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinion shall be deemed off topic, and your public comment period will be concluded. Message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings with the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings hear their presentations and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there's a need for the board to carry out the public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with only one warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. With that, we'll move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police. Chief McDonald.
Good morning, President Southers, Vice President Shields, Commissioners, Inspector General Barragan, City Attorney De La Guerra, and Mr. Sibley. Today, I'll be discussing significant events from the previous 2 weeks, providing a crime update, and discussing our personnel strength. On March 26, 2025, approximately 20:45 hours, a suspect later identified as Keon Williams reportedly pointed a possible rifle at passersby outside a residence located at 6427 South Figueroa Street. 77th Street Patrol Division uniformed officers responded, located Williams at the front door of the residence. Williams refused to follow the officer's commands to surrender and barricaded himself inside the location. Additional resources were requested and containment was established around the residence. Officers observed Williams holding what appeared to be a rifle, and Metropolitan Division Special Weapons and Tactics responded to the location to assist. From inside the location, Williams pointed the possible rifle at SWAT officers, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. Williams was struck by gunfire and submitted to arrest a short time later. While SWAT officers were clearing the location, they located 2 additional occupants. One was arrested for 69 APC resisting arrest. The other was questioned and released. Williams was transported to a local hospital where he received treatment for a gunshot wound to his left wrist. He was subsequently booked for 69 APC resisting arrest as well. No officers or community members were injured during this incident, and the investigation determined Williams was in possession of a large plastic object that resembled a rifle. Force Investigation Division investigators responded to the scene and are investigating this incident. Year to date, we've had 9 officer-involved shootings, the same number at this time last year. A pursuit resulting in a fatality on March 28th at approximately 1:30 a.m., uniformed patrol officers from Southwest Division observed a vehicle speeding near Century Boulevard and Sepulveda Boulevard. The vehicle had no license plates, was straddling lanes, and failed to yield to a passing emergency vehicle. Suspecting the driver might be under the influence, officers attempted a traffic stop, but the driver accelerated away. Officers initiated a pursuit at Martin Luther King Boulevard and Hoover Ave. As the suspect continued, 3 additional units were requested for support. The suspect vehicle led officers onto Century Boulevard and Concourse Way. Due to the suspect's high speed and increasing distance from the officer, the pursuit was discontinued. Shortly after, the LAPD airship observed the vehicle collide approximately 1.3 miles ahead. Units from both LAPD and the Los Angeles World Airports Police arrived at the scene and detained 2 suspects who were attempting to flee on foot. A 3rd occupant in the suspect vehicle was pronounced deceased at scene. The occupant of the other vehicle involved in the collision complained of pain, was transported to the hospital, and later released. Witnesses reported that the suspect vehicle had run a red light, causing the crash. The deceased occupant was identified as a 15-year-old, and their family had been notified. Due to the severity of the incident, the LAPD's multidisciplinary collision investigation team responded to the scene and is handling the investigation. There was a missing juvenile case which had a tragic ending. On April 1st, 2025, Robbery Homicide Division, Homicide Special Section, took over the investigation of a critical missing juvenile case involving a 13-year-old Oscar Omar Hernandez. Oscar was last seen on March 28th when he boarded a Metrolink train from Sun Valley to Lancaster to meet his soccer coach, Mario Edgardo Garcia Aquino. After failing to return home, Oscar was reported missing by his family to the Foothill Area Station on March 30th. Robbery Homicide Division's investigation, with the assistance of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, led to the discovery of Oscar's body on April 2nd in an unincorporated area near Oxnard in Ventura County. On the same day, April 2nd, Garcia Aquino was arrested on an unrelated Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department warrant for assault with intent to commit sodomy on a child. Further investigation by RHD detectives determined that Garcia Aquino was responsible for Oscar's death and the disposal of his body in Oxnard. On Monday, April 7th, the findings of the investigation were presented to Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office for filing consideration. The district attorney filed one count of murder, as well as the special allegation that the murder was committed during the commission or attempted commission of a lewd and lascivious act upon a person of a child under the age of 14 years. With the information currently available in the ongoing investigation, it is believed that there are likely other victims who were abused by Garcia Aquino. The LAPD encourages anyone with information about the suspect or additional victims to contact our Juvenile Division Abused Child Unit section at 818-374-5417. On January 2nd, Southwest detectives and gang impact personnel served a search warrant in the city of West Covina targeting a known Rolling 30s gang member who had committed criminal threats with a firearm in Southwest Division. The suspect was taken into custody and the firearm used in the crime was recovered. Multiple cell phones were seized during the search, and search warrants were subsequently authored to analyze the data contained within them. The analysis revealed that the suspect, along with members of the Rolling 30 and Rolling 40s Crip gangs, were involved in numerous criminal activities, including firearms trafficking, narcotic sales, burglaries, looting, robberies, and shootings. Based on this intelligence, detectives obtained a multi-location search warrant for 8 locations throughout Los Angeles County. On February 27th, those warrants were served, resulting in the recovery of 19 firearms, the arrest of 7 gang members on various charges, and the seizure of thousands of rounds of ammunition, narcotics, U.S. currency, and property linked to the burglaries. All recovered firearms were entered into the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, or NIBIN, for analysis and potential links to other shootings. Southwest detectives were notified that one of the recovered rifles was linked to a February 8th, 2025 shooting that injured 3 victims, one of whom was a 2-month-old infant seated in a vehicle with her mother. With this information, Southwest GIT detectives identified the infant shooter as a Rolling 30s gang member. A multi-location, 4 locations, search and Ramey warrant was authored to arrest the identified shooter and other suspects involved in the shooting. On April 3rd, Southwest GIT detectives, patrol, and special problems units served the warrants. The operation resulted in the arrest of the identified shooter and 4 additional members of the Rolling 30s gang. 7 firearms were also recovered. All arrested individuals will be presented for federal prosecution, and the newly recovered firearms were also entered into NIBIN for further ballistics matching. The investigation remains ongoing. On the burglary front, North Hollywood, we had a significant arrest. Between January and March of 2025, a series of burglaries occurred in North Hollywood area, targeting both residential and commercial properties. As the investigation unfolded, detectives from North Hollywood Division identified a pattern and ultimately 3 individuals tied to a coordinated burglary crew. This crew was linked to 25 crimes, including residential and commercial burglaries, vehicle thefts, assault with a deadly weapon, and criminal threats. In many cases, security and doorbell cameras captured the suspects in action, providing critical leads that helped detectives build the case. When interviewed, the suspects admitted to committing these crimes to support their drug use. All 3 were unhoused and were taken into custody without incident, each in separate encounters. The first suspect, a male, was spotted riding a bicycle near Chandler Boulevard and Colfax Avenue on March 27th, and thanks to a crime alert flyer distributed by detectives, officers were able to identify and arrest him without incident. That same day, a second male suspect was located by our violent crime task force. Officers came across a tent along a freeway embankment and recognized the individual from the crime flyer. He too was arrested without incident. The third suspect, a female, was taken into custody on March 23rd after officers responded to a radio call about a woman screaming. Upon arrival, they identified her from the crime flyer and placed her under arrest, also without incident. The Van Nuys District Attorney Office filed 25 felony counts, which included 16 counts for burglary, 7 counts of grand theft auto, 1 count of felony evading, and 1 count of criminal threats. I want to thank, sincere thanks to the detectives and officers from North Hollywood area, as well as our officers from the Violent Crime Task Force for the outstanding work on this case. Their attention to detail, persistence, and commitment to the community led to the safe apprehension of 3 suspects who had been plaguing the North Hollywood area with a series of serious crimes. We have a major theft task force arrest as well of significance. On April 3rd, the Major Theft Task Force and Surveillance Warrant Section conducted surveillance at a known South American theft group apartment complex located in the Van Nuys area. MTTF monitored the location for a known South American theft group suspect who had an outstanding felony arrest warrant from the state of Virginia for identity theft with full extradition. During the surveillance, officers observed the suspect and 2 accomplices enter a vehicle. The officers followed the suspects to various cities where they appeared to attempt burglaries from motor vehicles. The suspects then traveled to the city of Whittier, where they were successfully committed a burglary from a motor vehicle. Whittier Police Department was notified and all suspects were taken into custody without incidents. The 3 suspects were booked for a 459 PC burglary. On an unrelated topic and a positive, this past weekend, over 243 teams from law enforcement agencies across the nation, including teams from Canada and Australia as well, competed in the 39th annual Baker to Vegas Relay Run. The course spans 120 miles of challenging terrain with each team made up of 20 runners. It's a race that demands year-round training, discipline, and teamwork. And I'm proud to share that many of our LAPD divisions participated and earned spots among the top finishers in their respective categories. I want to just congratulate all who trained, ran, and supported this remarkable effort. On the crime picture, as of April 5th, the city continues to see encouraging trends overall crime reduction. When comparing the most recent 4-week period to the previous one, combined violent and property crimes are down 19.3%, violent crimes are dropped by 9%, and property crimes fell by nearly 22%. These declines reflect the hard work of our officers and the ongoing partnership with the community. Homicides continue to trend downward. Year to date, homicides are down more than 38% compared to 2024, with 32 fewer lives lost. When we look at the shooting victims citywide, we've seen a decrease of nearly 17% year to date compared to 2024, and a 19.8% drop over the last 4 weeks. Aggravated assaults citywide are down 8.5% compared to the prior 4-week period. Robberies dropped 8.6% during the same time frame, and in terms of robbery characteristics, nearly half were strong-arm robberies and just over 23% involved a firearm. Both categories showing slight declines. The most frequent locations for robberies continue to be public spaces such as sidewalks, streets, and parks. Burglaries are down significantly, over 21% in the last month, and all bureaus saw the overall drop. However, we will continue to monitor trends and patterns involving burglary crews that continue to plague our communities and deploy resources as appropriate. Motor vehicle thefts are down 9.4% overall. So in summary, the city's seeing strong downward trends in key crime categories, but we remain focused on precision enforcement and community engagement in areas that see upticks. Continued data-driven deployment and public trust are central to our momentum. On our personnel front, we have, as of April 7th, 8,780 sworn personnel, 2,657 civilian personnel, and 380 reserve officers. That concludes my presentation this morning, Mr. President, Commissioners.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for the update. My condolences to the family of the missing juvenile, but thank you for the update regarding the April 2nd arrest. That was a good outcome. And again, compliments and congratulations to those officers who participated in Baker to Vegas this past weekend. With that, I'm going to move to my fellow commissioners, and I'll go to Commissioner Garcia for any comments or questions.
None, thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez-Gordon.
Good morning, everyone. Questions? Thank you, Chief.
Commissioner Kalanje?
One quick question. Good morning. Wondering what you've heard in the last, I guess we haven't been here in a month, but, or I haven't been here, sorry. Wondering like what you're hearing from community when it, in terms of like the immigration issues. I know that we've been meeting with some of the leaders in that community. Just wondering what we're hearing. Any incidents, any concerns, just to give us a quick update on status and what's going on in the community.
No, thank you, Commissioner. I'm glad to report that I think we've been able to reduce the anxiety level in the community to a great degree from where it was a couple of months ago. We've been out there as much as we can, talking to as many groups as we can in the community in general to be able to lay out exactly what our policy is, how long it's been in place, and the fact that, our folks are well versed in state law and department policy as it relates to civil immigration enforcement. Our federal partners and on task forces that we participate on are also aware of state law and, don't put us in a position where we're going to expose our people to any of that kind of enforcement. So I think we're in a good place as it relates to that. Certainly, we can't check any boxes. We want to move forward and continue to educate members of the community to try and, as best we can, provide some level of comfort so that people will feel comfortable in coming forward if they're a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime to participate in the process. The chilling effect of people being afraid does no one any good in our city or any of our communities. So I think we're on the right track. Certainly more work to be done, but we've gotten pretty good traction, I think, at this point.
Thank you for that. I know that the last conversation we had, the department was developing a video, and I think you were part of it.
Right.
Is that completed, or what's?
I'll check on the status. We've completed our portion of it. We were trying to get some members of the communities, the consuls general from various countries. I think trying to get their calendars lined up to complete it is still in progress.
Okay, let us know when that's completed so that we could share it with community.
Great, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Vice President Shields.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief, for the report. I want to commend the officers and detectives who were part of the several important arrests that you mentioned. I think that highlights not only the sophistication and good police work being done at the department, but hopefully it also sends a message of deterrence to people who think that there are no consequences for their actions when they commit crimes in Los Angeles. So I think those are helpful reminders for all of us here. I had a question about the use of force incident on March 26th. Was there any indication that there were any mental health issues involving this individual? And was this was SWAT called to this incident where they have a kind of crisis negotiation psychologist kind of embedded with their team?
Yeah, generally, and I'll have to get detailed information on this one. They were out there for a prolonged period of time. That would generally entail crisis negotiators to be able to come out and talk along with department psychologists. I am pretty confident that that was done in this case because of the time that they had. They tried to engage the individual to communicate. There was none of that done. As it played out then over an extended period of time, the suspect could be seen in the window with what they believe was a rifle. And when he pointed it in the direction of SWAT officers is when the officer-involved shooting occurred. And that's all on video.
Thank you. And I had heard great things about the use of the department psychologists in these types of incidences, that they are not sidelined, that they are actively involved in helping to assess. So I'm glad that this was a result of at least the SWAT team responding to this and trying to use all of the resources available to them. And we'll obviously assess whether or not the shooting was in policy at a later date after the investigation is complete. I had a question. There throughout the nation and also in Los Angeles, there have been protests and rallies and things like that. Have there been any significant incidences happening, or are they all fairly, First Amendment protected and no major significant incidences?
Thank you. Yeah, we routinely throughout any week, we have a number of demonstrations, protests, which we deploy to try and meet with the organizers of it to ensure that their needs are met and that we can keep everything peaceful. Recently, we've had a number of protests and we have been able to do that. Nothing of significance to report on that front. People expressing their First Amendment rights. Sure.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, we'll now go to agenda item number 2. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Gordon?
Good morning again. I want to follow up on Commissioner Calanche's question, Chief. I have heard on many occasions that although the LAPD policy is not to assist ICE, and that the presence when ICE is in the immigrant community is limited and targeted specifically to traffic or pedestrian group control. Is that correct?
Somewhat. If they're doing civil immigration enforcement, we don't participate in that. There are certain cases where we do participate, where somebody is a convicted felon who has been previously deported, is back there, and I can get you the details on when we would participate. But if they're doing civil immigration enforcement, our presence at that locations would be with an eye toward protecting the surrounding community. In cases of conflict or there's a use of force, our hope is to be able to provide for evacuation and to be able to ensure that as they do what they do, making their arrests, that we keep the surrounding community safe.
With that in mind, Chief, what efforts have been made by the LAPD to dispel any community perception that the mere presence of LAPD in these kind of task force and presence when ICE is in the community? What efforts have been made, if any, by the LAPD to dispel this fear, this perception that, in fact, LAPD is assisting immigration and that they are working with ICE in whatever is going on in their community? Anything?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Our folks are out there. We've talked about it with our command staff, and it's gone throughout the organization. Our officers are well versed in the policy and procedure of the department as well as state law as it relates to civil immigration enforcement. Every chance we get to be able to speak to a community group, to be able to help alleviate that anxiety, we take that. We've been out to the churches. We've been out to community groups. We've spoke with people who can who have a constituency where they can bring that message back. Our hope and goal is to be able to relieve the level of anxiety that has been so prevalent in many of our communities. And the read we're getting is that we've been able to do that to a degree. We don't feel like it's any time we can stop. It's something we want to continue to do and to be able to get the message out with everybody. And as I mentioned earlier, it's in nobody's interest to have the chilling effect that people would be afraid to come forward as witnesses or victims if they're involved in a crime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now go to agenda item number 2, public comment. Madam Secretary, please call the first speaker.
Min Yang.
Would you allow my wife to talk first?
Hi, my name is Myung Yang, and I'm the mother of Yong Yang. Yesterday was his 41st birthday, but instead of celebrating, I was grieving because LAPD killed my son inside my own apartment. He was scared, confused and needed help, so I called for mental health support for him. But instead of treating him with care, they treated him like a criminal. They treated my son in his parents' home like an intruder, and they killed him. This is wrong. This is not excusable, and I'm not going to be silent regarding this. My son's life mattered. I live every day with the pain of not being able to save him, even though I tried everything I could. What was done to him was unjust and cruel. This should never have happened. Do not let this happen to anybody, any other family. Treat every human life with dignity, especially when someone is in crisis, please.
Sir, I'm sorry, before you begin, put the puppet down. You give us the finger already 2 times. You 2 have had your first and last warning. Be respectful of these people coming here to give public comment for their son that's been lost. This is your first and only warning. I'm sorry, sir. Please go ahead.
President Dr. Suders, Vice President Shields, Commissioner Alange, and Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Sanchez Gordon, Executive Director Sibley, Chief McDonough, Inspector General Aragon. My name is Dr. Min Yang, USC Trojan, and the father of Yong Yang. Yong was a 40-year-long LA resident and was brutally killed 11 months and 6 days ago. Allow me to give brief comments and request. LAPD was to assist the DMH for transporting Yong to USC Hospital with patient's consent. LAPD only did less than 3 minutes of talking over the closed apartment door in 3 different occasions over 1.5 hour period. That was all, even without compassion. LAPD should not have had used force since Yong, the patient, did not consent. LAPD chose to use force unjustly and violated Yong's civil rights severely, which led his death. LAPD chose not to use the non-lethal options they had at the site, a taser and a projectile launcher. 3 deadly bullets punctured his heart, lung, stomach, pancreas, liver, intestines, spine, ribs, and others. Yong was denied to get immediate medical care when LAPD sent the paramedics away swiftly within seconds after shooting. Slowly and painfully, Yong bled to death. There was no meaningful medical interventions until death was announced by Los Angeles Fire Department medic 14 minutes after shooting. They also arrived 8 minutes after shooting. We were informed of Yong's death 1 hour after his death. We were outside and waited for 8.5 hours until police moved away and let us in. We were asked questions for 3 hours at the Olympic Station while announcement to media was made depicting Young as violent and dangerous. Commissioners, I urge you to conduct a thorough and serious review. Please endeavor until you get to know the full truth, because Young's life matters as much as anyone's son or daughter of you guys. You are there to protect LA residents through upholding law and constitution, by ensuring officers held accountable, by demanding department policies to protect life and civil rights, and by representing community voices, especially those harmed by police actions. And I demand that you do not fail again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a quick request?
Sure.
Commissioner Suthers? I know that this case is, will be taken up in closed session, but I'm wondering, or I would request, I would like to see a investigation of the aftermath and how, when parents were notified and things that we don't necessarily get to see in closed session because it's not part of the investigation, the use of force investigation. But I think that merits some consideration, just to see like what the process was and what our policies are. So if we can request that, I don't know if that's an Inspector General request.
That's in the investigation. You'll get it all.
Okay, we'll get that,
Always.
even the parents at the station and things like that.
That's part of the investigation
Okay.
when the notifications are made.
Okay, well, yeah. So depending on the, yeah.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the next speaker.
I have a card for Yadi. Okay.
Hi there. I'm here to speak on license plate readers and other technology that the LAPD uses.
Can you speak up, please?
I'm sorry. I'll try to be closer to the microphone. Is this better? Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to make a request that the license plate readers that are going to be deployed for you guys to consider having stronger privacy and just data retention periods, because the LAPD has several license plate reader systems, and they have a very long retention period, and compared to many of the other police departments across the state and the ones that are going to be installed with flock cameras, the default is 30 days, which almost all law enforcement agencies that use flock cameras default to. So that would be the default unless LAPD specifically asks for the retention period to be made longer. And if that is the case, I would also ask that the retention period of 30 days also be applied to the vigilant cameras. And just so you know, Governor Newsom, when he made an announcement to deploy these cameras with CHP, announced that their retention period would be 28 days. And this is very important, especially in light of the concerns that we have over the protection of our immigrant community and, abiding by SB 54. And I also want to express that I have concerns about the police recently announcing to use facial recognition technology on the body-worn cameras. That technology is not ready for primetime use. And I can tell you, as someone who actually built facial recognition technology, and it should definitely not be used on body-worn cameras against people. And just generally that this body should work with the LAPD to have stronger protections, especially when using surveillance equipment that by definition is not privacy protected. And the last thing I wanted to make a note is that I tried to speak at the military equipment, the AB 481 community meeting, and I was unable to do so, just as I oftentimes am not. I know that LAPD put a lot of time and effort into putting their marketing and PR materials together for that meeting. And we were there listening to them talk about their equipment, and it was 40 minutes before anybody had a chance. And at that time, the Zoom free session, I don't know why they were using free, cut off. And so we were deprived of the ability to weigh in on the military equipment that the LAPD uses. And specifically, I'll write a letter, but I have concerns about the possible uses of drone equipment for any and all
Their 3 minutes
areas.
are
Thank
really
you.
going long today.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, I'd like to have one of our officers get your information. Again, thank you for these questions and regarding your expertise and experience with this technology. So this officer is going to take your information so we can obtain that. Thank you.
Next, we have Jason Reedy.
All right, so today this commission will determine if Yang Yang's murder was in policy, but here are the facts. His murderer pig, Andres Lopez's career won't end today. It won't end despite this being the second person he shot in mental crisis. Lopez had been on the scene the longest. He had spent time speaking with Yang's father, and despite his own history of shooting someone in mental crisis, Lopez volunteered to be the primary pig to confront Yang in the apartment and was allowed to. Now, Lopez was the one who decided to start entering without announcing there were pigs into the apartment. And the first words that came out of his mouth as he pried that door open was, "Hey, hey, hey, you're gonna get shot." Who fucking says that to someone clearly in mental distress who believed that people were out to kill him? And tragically, Yang wasn't wrong. Lopez fired 3 shots, not because he felt threatened, but because he saw an opportunity to do what every pig in this department seems to dream of doing, shooting someone down. And you'll point to the fact that Yang had a knife in his hand. But as your pigs entered the apartment, Yang's other hand was raised, retreating, clearly in fear of his life. He was terrified of who was coming in, and Lopez gunned him down. Yang didn't threaten him, nor did he make any move to stab any pig. You murdered their son in their own living room. And after shooting Yang, Lopez showed no remorse. In fact, he callously said, "Who wants to cuff him up?" In Yang's final moments, his killer stood over him, ensuring he died in custody. It's nothing short of sinister. Now, the LAPD released footage of their pig, Luis Friend's Acuna, shooting at a passing vehicle in quote-unquote self-defense. This footage directly contradicts the narrative pushed by this department and the media. The LAPD went as far as charging the driver with assault with a deadly weapon on a pig, despite there being clear evidence that there was no immediate threat to Acuna. Acuna was actually looking for an opportunity, again, to fire his weapon. And the deception doesn't end there. Despite Acuna living in Montclair, the LAPPL reported him as displaced during the Eaton fire and even solicited donations on his behalf. Now, we had to shell out $4.5 million to pig Randy Rangel because the LAPD decided to target him for reporting that another pig, Humberto Najera, was repeatedly committing overtime fraud. Now, the LAPD chose not to investigate these allegations because any extra eyes on that contract with the MTA could potentially jeopardize it and expose how the LAPD uses overtime to pad the pockets of its pigs. Najera earned more than $346,000 in overtime pay alone in 2022 and 2023. Now, Rhodes is out. McDonald informing her through a subordinate that she was done. It's quite a cowardly move, Jim. More than likely, we'll see a lawsuit soon from Rhodes, given the false narrative that the LAPD and the LAPPL have spread in regard to the release of the headshot photos. I also want to talk about the license plate readers. We all know you use that to trail us, to surveil us. It's no question at all. And so, yeah, we don't want any more fucking license plate readers. Fuck the LAPD. Justice for Yang Yang. Fuck.
Jonathan Foster.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Foster. No categorical use of force. It was not the last week. It was at the last meeting. So I wanted to make a correction. It was 2 meetings ago on March 11th. And today it's 2 weeks since the last meeting again. And on the March 25th meeting, my last words were wetter, which meant I hope you do well, or I hope you do better, but I used the W and the word better at the same time. So I'm not going to be able to talk about Linda Becerra Moran or the fact that this guy, Errol, kicked out two girls that were laughing. And I was the one doing the laughing. And I kind of incited them to laugh too, because, this shouldn't be the best comedy in LA coming down to the commission meeting. And sometimes it is. It's the best damn comedy in LA is your crap. Your voice, your two voices and this voice, this is who it kills. Jamil Shaw Jr., you see him? He's dead. Yep. How about this one? Placer County, California, Michael Davis, dead, 42. Deputy Sacramento, David Oliver, he's dead. Your voice kills these people. I'm the only one in America standing up for the police officers. Jonathan Douglas Foster. So then you got this guy. Here's another one. Rates. This guy was killed. Phoenix PD. Mesa, Arizona. Brandon Mendoza. Here's Andy Chavez. And you would think he's a Latino, but he's a Latino, but he was killed by a guy from the Philippines. Harris County Sheriff Dwayne Polk. He's a black guy. We know what the Nuri Latinos think about black people. Yeah. And so here's Houston PD. Canales. Oh, that's Will. Yeah, 38. Houston, actually. Figueroa. And your voice kills people all over the United States of America. Here's Canales. He's 42 in Houston. Here's a guy in Florida. He was killed. You kill all over the country. He was killed by a guy from the Bahamas, not allowed to be here. Mike Grubbs. Here's a veteran, Mike Grubbs. And here's another veteran, Chad Nelson. You guys killed police and veterans. Here's Border Patrol, Brian Terry. Yep. Here's my guy that I Terrell Horn III, U.S. Coast Guard. Knocked out of his boat. He hit his head on the propeller. You killed him. Kate Steinle. Is she on here? Yeah, she's on there somewhere. Here's Kate Steinle. Jew. Hot girl. Boy. How about this one? Vanessa Pham. So Guatemala killed the Philippines in the United States of America because of your voice.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mona M.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, what items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Chief McDonald, OIG, commissioners, Commissioner President. What may sound like anger from a community of survivors may actually be hurt, fear, frustration, and rejection of the justice system, starting with the LAPD. I would like to address what is become the word of the day or the phrase of the month, elevating misdemeanor crimes into hate speech or hate crimes. I'm not protesting or advocating against a religion. I'm talking about Scientology. I'm advocating and protesting the crimes and abuses that are happening because of them and within the religion. No crimes or abuses should be cloaked or excused because they are done in the name of a religion. Prince versus Massachusetts, Supreme Court decision, decided that a long time ago, that no religious right did not supersede a basic human right, a civil right, and the law, simply the law. As an example, your religion can believe in cannibalism. It doesn't mean that you're allowed to eat people. Remember what every Scientologist is told every time they do a session, and I quote, "While we cannot guarantee you that matters revealed in this list will be held forever secret, we can promise you faithfully that no part nor any answer you make will be given to the police or the state." I'm not going to finish that quote because, Chief, you just talked about encouraging victims coming forward to report their crimes and not be afraid. Children from the day one of Scientologists are told to mistrust and to fear authorities, especially police. That's not encouraging people whatsoever to report their crimes. and we would like to have a discussion with you. I've asked many times. And just when you asked that lady previously if she would talk with you, I know you can ask us. Audit LA is there. She's part of this. She understands what we're dealing with. Please, let's have communication so that way all victims can report as they need to. Thank you, and I yield back my time.
Next, we have Audit LA.
Oh, snap. They picked her right after me.
All items, please. I want to give my condolences to these parents that broke me. Please invest more in an MEU unit where people are trained to handle crisis. I have a friend with a son who's on the spectrum, and she has had to call LAPD to help her because and I begged her never to do that again because you don't know who they're going to send. And I shouldn't have to tell anyone not to call the police, but so please work on that. But I come here about Scientology as well. A couple of weeks ago, you heard from actual victims, one of them being the niece of the actual leader of this, and they want it to be a hate crime to say cult. Is it a hate crime to say gang? Because if you look at the definitions of gang or cults, everything they do lines up with it. And if they want to be in a cult or a gang, that's their prerogative, but it's not their prerogative to commit crimes against others. And that is happening both inside and outside of Scientology.
I love it when you sing in sync.
And and they're trying to like this. I'm really concerned about the hate crime thing because somebody took down a wreath. Okay. After Christmas, they don't even celebrate Christmas. It was, ready to go probably in the trash anyway. And that person is charged with a hate crime. I believe the bail on that was like $50,000, if I'm not mistaken. The judge, $350,000 total for little misdemeanors like tampering with those planters that, the law, they broke the law with it being ADA non-compliant planters, but somebody got tired of that and kind of just messed with one. He's charged with the hate crime. They're not charged with the hate crime for preventing my egress and regress, because it's ADA non-compliant. They're not even looked into. They're not investigated. There's nothing. And that's only a minor crime. What about the people that have come here and saying, look, we were raped inside that blue building. There's other children being harmed, and there's seniors being neglected and harmed. And they make it like a compound where they chase you out. That's like a gang. They have their territory and they run you out. They've used LAPD to run us out. I mean, I really have a suit against you guys. I don't want any more. I don't want that money from this city, but I have a suit that I can pursue because LAPD prevented my First Amendment rights to travel or to go through there or to protest because they use LAPD to do their bidding. A couple of weeks ago, they got Hollywood Division. I'm pretty sure it was them who did it because I bumped into a big, the one who's on CPAB. I keep begging you to get her off. And so that the captain made it a private meeting, even after telling me to, that I can come to the meeting, and I couldn't because then I was deprived because of her. It really needs to be looked into, sir, and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goat Puppet.
Go audit, go audit. Thank you for syncing with me. We didn't even talk. That's good.
Anyway. So, only one paying attention to Tharasha. So we'll just note that over across the street at the City Hall meeting, they purposely started the meeting early so that I can attend both meetings. So this is your collusion. So this is what you do. And we've got hundreds of people looking into this nationwide. We got attorneys in New York. We got attorneys in Washington, D.C. They're recording all these meetings and they're noting what you're doing. And so this is just another guy, and you know what it is, right? It's a fucking snitch, right? I mean, who's going to set up a $15,000 studio and claim they're unemployed, right? So it's all happening. But we have a good news for you today, and this is directed at your police chief. You apparently don't do your job according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. So they're going to do it for you. Breaking news, the United States Attorney's Office today has opened up a homeless services fraud joint task force. What a disgusting fucking example that you guys won't do a simple audit and tell us where the money went. We know where the money went. We got a guy that's coming down here today with over 10,000 pages. He'll tell you every dollar. Offshore accounts, fine. Swiss bank accounts, got it. Proton accounts, got it. Signal chats, got it. You don't think we can hack signal chats? You know, you had a guy that was just begging me for months. Wayne, go to Signal. Wayne, go to Signal. Wayne, go to Signal. They're hacking your phone, Wayne. They're hacking your phone. What do you think? I'm fucking stupid? I mean, you know, yeah, I wear a Santa Claus hat in fucking April. Let's give you that. But do you think I'm that fucking stupid? And you still haven't figured out what I used to do before I became a lawyer. You haven't figured out my old career because you can't. You keep digging and digging and digging and digging and digging. You can't fucking find it because you can't find it because they're not going to let you find it. That's why I had to go to school and get an education. That's why I don't spell shit like your handout outside. Quote, Q-O-U-T-E you got on your back. Quote. What is that? Is it a quote or is it a quote? See, you don't even read your own fucking editorial to make sure there's proper spell check. You people are out of your fucking minds. And see, so it's all coming together now. And the only thing that I need is for you and your city attorney to simply release my records that you hid on my March 30th, 2017 swatting incident in Canoga Park so that I can reopen my case and go to the nice federal judge and get fucking paid. Please do it for me, Jim. I'm getting old, man. I need your help.
Mr. Herman?
Again, ears beware.
Yes, sir. Let me spell it for you in this handout here. Inspirational Q-Q-U-T-E. I don't know how to spell or read, but goddamn, why did the peanut call the cops? Because it was assaulted. Why do you call a cop in the bed? An undercover cop. But listen, Django, attorney over there, Mr. Django, due to your prior restraints on my First Amendment, you too collaborate in my civil rights and violations under the American Disability because I'm a retard. A little puppet that calls Mr. Django a retard. Is that offensive? What the fuck you did to the child of the parents who came in here this morning complaining about why you shot a person with mental health like me soon? Why is that, Django? Mr. Inspector General, can you believe this fucking shit? They're out killing people with mental health because they think they have a right to. No fucking way, Jim. Is Herman next? Are you going to shoot Herman just because he waves a plastic knife? Or because he pulls a big dick out in a city meeting and says the city of Los Angeles sucks a dick like this one? This big, Jim. Big. This is big problems. And for that reason, Jim, what were you guys doing with all the money to help the homeless? I want an internal investigation and audit where the fuck the money went for homelessness. Each time I went to the city of LA and complained about getting off the fucking street when I was homeless for 2 fucking years, no one seemed to fucking find the money. Where's the money, Jim? Is it because I suffer from mental health. Nobody here wants to help me. Well, this poor fucking family has to suffer what the consequences of your fucking selfish pig. Yeah, Reedy's right. A pig. Oink, 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 oink. Let me wear my cap. Oink, oink. In the so happy to celebrate.
Now to my final comment. 42 USC 1983 politely. Fuck you. Fuck the police. NWAMOU. I got my rights. I know my rights.
Philip Tabby.
Good morning. All items, please.
3 minutes.
First, I want to give condolences to the family that spoke in the beginning. I want to share my concern for the lack of accountability this board has. Today's meeting agenda and written public comment has not been posted on the and on the website, and that's unacceptable, Southers. Another unacceptable item is this meeting used to call a member in the audience for public comment and then a member calling in from Zoom. Why has this changed without any notification to the public? Commissioner President Southers, are you the new dictator in the LAPD? These actions are unacceptable and need to be corrected immediately. I recently read a lawsuit against the department, and it looks like the past is coming to bite you in the butt. It's about warnings that were given by command staff, but instead of addressing issues, the LAPD loves to cover things up. As an example, long story short, Captain Smith de-escalated a situation where someone was suffering a mental health crisis that surrendered. And a couple hours later, he surrendered. But some of your senior staff disagreed with Smith on a Zoom call with over 100 senior staff on the call. Why? You know who suffers, though? The community. I do hope the media looks into this lawsuit. This retaliation moved one of the best captains Foothill ever had. Instead, we are still stuck with Captain Loose Hands Marco Lozano, one of the worst, if not the worst captain Foothill has ever seen. He has several complaints filed against him. Chief, let's sit down and talk about it. Foothill area residents and business leaders here are not happy. We demand a new captain. This isn't the first time talking about it here at the commission meeting, but the info may be a bit new to you, Chief. Lozano is a disgrace. Bring back the blue line flag. Investigate all crimes involving children, in particular the allegations against Scientology. Get rid of the COVID mandate. Bring back prayer. We are one nation under God.
Nice.
Oh, and thank you for firing Liz Rhodes. God bless the LAPD. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Philip Tabby.
Katrina Thomas.
I'm here today to speak on behalf of my brother, Anthony So. He was murdered on July 6th. He died in police custody. We need the police to be accountable for what happened to my brother. We need the police to investigate his murder properly, and whoever is responsible for my brother's death need to pay for what they done. My brother was not just he wasn't a nobody. My brother dedicated 30 years of his life leading, encouraging, supporting, in coaching youth. He coached from elementary school to high school. He coached on all-star international professional competition teams, all-star teams across the states. My brother was loved and adored by many. He was loved and adored by many. He didn't deserve to die the way he did. He didn't deserve to be overlooked the way they overlooked him, like if he was nothing. They need to be held accountable. They put handcuffs on my brother when he took his last breath, and they just let him go. They let him go. He didn't deserve it. 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 And for him to say that his death was justified, how dare y'all pour salt on our wounds and say his death was justified? It's okay. It's okay. Our family traditions are broken. Every Christmas Eve was spent at his house. He hosted our family tradition for the last 10 plus years. He was the host for our family games. He's gone. My daughter calls me crying 3 o'clock in the morning. And what am I to say? What do I say? I find my mother locked in her room. What do I say? What do I say? What do I do? My brother's gone and they don't care. They don't care. He don't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. That's not fair. It's not fair. They didn't contact us with no information. They have his property. They haven't released his property. The only reason they released the video before, they didn't give it to us, it was on the news. They didn't tell us anything. They still haven't told us anything. My brother's, his life, his passion, his purpose, his heart, and served. His heart, he served, he taught, he encouraged, he supported cheerleaders. Their whole purpose was to step out and to be loud. So at this point, the police need to do their job and take care of what happened. It's going to go forward. It's not going to stop. He matters.
Thank you, ma'am. And Chief, this is another matter that we want to look at the investigation in terms of the family notification upon the death of their brother.
Okay, if we could have somebody get the details. John?
And I'd ask the Inspector General's office if they can make contact and make sure that they are kept apprised of any information that they can be throughout the process. Thank you.
Yes, we have people in the audience with my office, and so we'll make that contact immediately. Thank you.
Next, we have Danny Park.
I'm going to speak. I'd like to speak on all the items. First of all, my condolences to the family and the brother who just spoke. My name's Danny, and I'm with the Justice for Yongyang People's Committee. Just as the lady spoke, like with the officers today on the agenda, the officers who you guys are going to be talking about the disciplinary actions of who were involved that day for Young's case. There's different responses that could have happened with who's there that day. And I'm wondering, was that the only and best course of action that had occurred that day? Because the cost of that was Young's life. I wonder, there's so many of these recurring incidents, and with Young's situation, is like true safety and peace? Has that been created that day and so forth? And yeah, like that day when Officer Lopez, he was the first one in, he volunteered. And then he ended up shooting Young. And his reaction, the first thing he said after that was, "Who wants to cuff him up?" And I think if it's like a protective use of force, that comes from a reaction of like wanting to protect those who are there, and that's the best course of action. I think a lot of his teammates would be very thankful for him, and that would be a guttural reaction from a lot of the teammates that were there. That's for you guys to, if you can, or consider or think about that. For us, family members and friends and community of the Yang family, from our perspective, like Yang was one of his scariest day of his life. He always heard voices and said that people were after him. And on that day, that happened, and then he died. And being professionals and experts, I think that type of the ability to, how do you navigate and respond with, because he was, reacting with the common flight, fight, freeze reaction, and I do expect that from the professionals, to have that wisdom and to be able to navigate and respond accordingly. But I didn't see it. I don't see that. And I don't think that the end of his life was not the only end result, that the best result that could have happened. There could have been a lot of other responses, but the cost of this is the life of our beloved Young. So anyways, thank you for letting me speak over the 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Megan?
Yeah, I just also want to say my condolences to the families who are here today. Just shame on every one of you guys because you enable it. So I organize with the Stop LAPD Spine Coalition and White People for Black Lives. Those organizations and Black Lives Matter, the People's City Council, come here every week to make sure that it's in the public record somewhere. The truth about LAPD, to speak the truth about Yan Yang and about Linda Becerra Moran. In just the year and a half since I've been attending these meetings, at least a dozen people experiencing mental health crises have been killed by LAPD. This is business as usual for LAPD. We have the deadliest police department in the country. The deadliest, not the biggest, but the deadliest. It is racist and corrupt by every objective measure. We can't forget that policing, this police department, the origin story is in armed patrols who hunted down Black people to return them to rich men who beat them and killed them with impunity and completely legal protection. And when they couldn't do that, those armed patrols stalked Black people and criminalized them to send them to jail to be able to profit off of our labor. That's the beginnings of this institution. LAPD is now what it always has been. And this board, everybody sitting here, Rasha, Earl, Fabian, Teresa, Django, Mike, you do everything in your power to protect them. Yang Yang was killed in his parents' living room. He had, I'll quote from the LA Times, less than 10 seconds to comply with the Los Angeles police officer's commands before he was shot 3 times and died. The officer that killed him, he shot and wounded another mentally ill man in 2021. And because you all didn't do anything actual about that, he was available to kill their son. This is on you. I feel
Yikes.
really lucky that my radicalization didn't come because I had to watch someone from my family be tortured and killed by LAPD. And Southers, how dare you say that Yang Yang was lost? He was murdered by your beloved institution that you work so tirelessly to shield from any criticism. And Kalanche, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Can we get the after action reports? How about you stop killing people's kids? Will you ask for an after action report for Linda Becerra Moran? No, because her parents can't come here, so you can't perform for them. You don't give a shit. I've been coming here weekly for over a year, and she doesn't give a shit. I'm sorry. Southers willing to offer harm, willing to offer condolences for harm to a child, but not when your own precious officers cause it, not when the police organization that you founded molested over 200 kids. Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. And when we have emotions and grief and rage about these truths, if you kick us out, you tell us to shut up because it's not within the 45 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Megan, given some truth.
Jamie Cusick.
I'm not going to mention anything really that Megan hasn't already just laid out extremely well. There is, it's proven by certain comments made today that there's not only this presupposition that crime is going to occur regardless of LAPD's intervention, there's a presupposition that LAPD itself is going to cause harm to the citizens it supposedly serves and protects. What the hell was that question, Kalanche, about the policy for how families are treated after their loved ones have been harmed or killed? And what about you, Errol and Rasha, chiming in just now to look at the policy to ensure that families are kept apprised about whether their loved ones are alive or dead while they're in custody? You asked those questions in order to look good for the media presence today. All of you are carefully putting on your thoughtful listening faces, and for once in a while, kind of turning them towards this podium during public comment. Did you realize that the demand that Yang Yang's parents made of you all was to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And yet you're trying to update or express kind of vague concern about the policy for how to interact with grieving families, which assumes that there are going to be more grieving families in the future. How dare you be so disrespectful of these folks who came into this dystopic room to share their pain with the very same people who enabled their son's death in the first place. You all did enable it. There were countless incidences of murders of folks in mental health crisis by LAPD before Yang Yang was brutally shot down, and this commission did nothing. You have his blood on your hands. You have the blood of Linda Becerra Moran on your hands, another woman in mental health crisis who was also suicidal, who was anguished and crying as an officer shot her. No trainings could have saved her or Yang Yang. No more money could possibly make LAPD anything other than the evil, corrupt institution that it is. Abolish the police. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Hamid Khan.
So looking at the police commission itself, there's a whole lot of stuff that we come here every week. But, what comes through is that it's a weaving together of three items that these fools preside over and make their decisions. Donations, police misconduct, which means murdering people, and the third one, expansion of the police state. More surveillance, more technology, and more targeting and stalking of people.
Kind of agree with that.
And since, 1869 or whatever, they've been around, 170 years ago, 170 years now, they're still talking about de-escalation training. They're still talking about giving more resources. So if they haven't learned de-escalation, when do we expect them to learn? If you haven't learned anything in over 170 years, do you really expect that to change? That's not going to happen. 1/3 of the people that murder have known mental health conditions. And people know that, and the LAPD knows that. Several names have been shared. Oconio, Moran, Yang, and we can go on and on and on and on and on. However, this is the people's representative. This body, the functionaries of the state. Now we know as functionaries of the state, they work for the state. And they have to expand the power of the state. Simple things, license plate readers, pipeline to deportation, flock safety on the agenda. We've given them details about that how the information through Palantir, Gotham and Palantir, Thunderbird have already been accumulated. Millions and millions. And now Peregrine technology, and now flock safety, which provides a portal where they can check people's immigration violation status as well. Pipeline to deportation. And to kick it all off, and this is where the kicker is, that they fired Liz Rhodes because she supposedly was following the law, following the California Public Records Act. Liz Rhodes is responsible for how they hide their violence by garnishing it into this constitutional bullshit and constitutional policing language. So this is the twisted nature of the LAPD. This is how they operate. And this is why you all are rubber stamp bodies and functionaries of the state. But we'll keep on fighting back. We'll keep on exposing you and disrupting you. And this will end.
Matios?
I too send my condolences to the family members of folks who were killed by LAPD. And I think, both Jamie and Hamid are touching on something we've been saying time and time again, and that is the aspect of theater of this board. I've said it explicitly, how there is a very performative nature to it. And even how Jamie pointed out that there is this implication that there will be more grieving families. And so while we recognize all these people lost are loved and important and valued, all the people who don't have folks to advocate for them, all the folks who are alive but locked up and tortured at Men's Central Jail and everywhere else, these are all lives we value. In truth, to the LAPD, to this Board of Police Commissioners, those lives lost, that's just the cost of doing business. I'm going to repeat that because your officer's phone went off. Those lives lost, and you know this is the reality you uphold, are the cost of doing business. The violence inherent to LAPD is the goal. That's the objective. You want violence workers. That's useful, time and time again. If that weren't the case, you have the resources to change things. You have the information, you have the means. You've had 170 years, as Hamid put it. And yet it's just replicated. There's coverage, there's liability mitigated, and you consistently walk the line to see how much you can get away with. Liz Rhodes' termination is emblematic of that. That is, this is a person in charge of constitutional policing. Their whole job was to make sure this violence was softened or within guidelines, right? And when they followed the law, according to courts, this was something that was tried. And the argument made by primarily the Los Angeles Police Protective League and pigs like Jim McDonnell was that there was some kind of violation in place. And in truth, that didn't happen at all, right? And so what was the cost of, Liz Rhodes following the law? Retaliation, their termination, a narrative about them working with activist groups. And that's not to say Liz Rhodes isn't also complicit in this violence too, right? We don't kind of support or even enforce the idea that there is a constitutional form of policing. And her job also sanitized a shit ton of violence that we may not even see. But just to say, I hope this eats at you. I hope hearing these families really eats at you because especially folks like you, Errol Southers, who've made a career out of demonizing these communities. You know what the function is. You know this violence to be the goal, and it will keep happening as long as this institution exists. And that's why you're looking down right now. You're cowards. I yield the rest of my time.
Grace?
Of course, this body will extend a contract with the DOJ for addressing hate crimes program for LAPD, as if that somehow masks the everyday violence you greenlight. It's really laughable, really, this idea that the Board of Police Commissioners is invested in addressing hate, when you continue to approve budgets and programs that fuel one of the most violent white supremacist institutions in this city. You sit up here every week pretending this commission is about oversight while funneling another $145,000 into the pockets of death-making surveillance contractors, this time for more ALPRs in West LA. Just last year, LAPD peddled racist hysteria about so-called South American theft rings to justify installing more ALPRs in rich white neighborhoods. These license plate readers don't stop harm. They expand the surveillance dragnet, feeding data into fusion centers and real-time crime centers that federal agencies like ICE and DHS plug right into. And that's not speculation. It's written in your own damn contracts. And you know exactly what you're doing. You'll nod along to words like diversity and safety while signing off on surveillance, harassment, and deportation. You'll let LAPD parade itself as a force against hate while its officers brutalize people on the street and feed data into FBI and ICE. You sit here pretending you have a conscience while LAPD continues to murder community members in cold blood. Linda Becerra Moran, Young Yang, Takar Smith, Oscar Leon Sanchez, all people in crisis who needed care and support, something LAPD will never be able to offer because its function is to kill and criminalize and escalate. For every person the LAPD murders, dozens of people have to live with the fucking weight that their loved one died scared, handcuffed, and dehumanized by LAPD. It's not shocking for you, it's just business as usual for this board because you sit here over and over and over and over again while people grieve and beg you to hold these officers accountable. What you don't realize, you just can't get into your heads, is that these murders are enabled because of you, like everyone else already said. Each and every single one of you allows these murders to continue to happen because your function is to legitimize the machinery of policing, to funnel more money and resources into an institution built on anti-Black violence, criminalization, and social control. Your silence is not passive, it is an active function of your position. You pretend to care, but you don't. You're here to manufacture the illusion of oversight while rubber stamping every tool, every contract, every policy that strengthens LAPD's ability to repress and kill. You all have blood on your hands, but we see it. We see the theater, the performance of care while you hand over money and power to the very people enacting the violence you pretend to fight. There's no integrity in this body, only rubber stamps, polished lies, and the cowardice of those too afraid or too comfortable to name the violence for what it is. We will not let you be comfortable.
Quinn? Next we have Quinn.
Embarrassed for you this week. You asked Jim if LAPD supports ICE. Jim said somewhat, and then you proceeded to simply forget what he said because you sounded like a staffer wrote out your questions verbatim. Your subsequent question was how to dispel the mere perception and dispel the fear that LAPD was aiding ICE. Reality check, it's not fear, it's a fact. LAPD has and always will aid ICE. You're a violent body, expect nothing less. And expect the public to know the reality even when you pretend not to. It should actually be no shock then that you have all granted $140 grand, putting it all up for grabs for new automatic license plate readers. I'm getting deja vu because I feel like we read you a whole fucking letter last month on the explicit and real harms of ALPRs. But it's okay, I understand. You weren't paying attention. Errol, you probably were too busy thinking about how to brutalize kids on college campuses again. I'll break it down for you though. Automatic license plate readers, ALPRs, are used to document faces, plates, cars, and movements of populations that you and the state have deemed disposable. You even name that. You say that ALPRs target criminals and undocumented folks. Then you actively share that information between LAPD, ICE, DHS, and other federal agencies via the information sharing environment. I said it last meeting and I'll say it again. You and your piglets are the biggest fucking serial killers in the city. The Yangs spoke of their son Young, who was killed by you less than months ago, and his parents detailed the way that at every turn you chose the most evil option. Anthony's sister spoke of Anthony's death after you killed him. This happened with me at the same Maran too. When she because she was human trafficked and you all shot her. You all pointed out where she was at. She died in your custody. You in your custody. And the minister in custody, and yes, it's you. You might every time. Examples. It's even if you provide support, or even if you sure that you all choose to kill every time. Back in January, a child was stabbed, and it took you all a fucking eternity to send paramedics because you instead sent pigs to brutalize children. Again. Your officers tried to stop medical care from being administered. You train and encourage your piglets to kill children, someone's son, someone's brother, someone's sister, someone's daughter. And the reason it's all possible is because you were there to clean up after the kill. You posture and you pose and you perform so that your little army of piglets can kill with their unfettered power, weapons, surveillance, and violence. You yield the rest of my time.
Adam. Next, we have Adam. Okay. Pat Barry.
Thank you for the chance to speak to you, and I congratulate all of my brothers and sisters here fighting and resisting violence in the street. It's got to stop. And I hope, Jim McConnell, you will meet with me and my person that I'm advocating for, Celia Smith, because of the domestic violence that LAPD and its attorneys are engaging in against Celia Smith, a young Black mother and a survivor of the domestic violence of Christopher Darden, your good friend. Brente, Soto, Warren are continuing the domestic violence in a federal lawsuit, which Celia Smith filed against Darden, LAPD, the bar in Los Angeles Superior Court, Smith v. Darden, case number 2401673. It is no surprise that Celia is a victim of LAPD's domestic violence and retaliation. The LA Times reported that numerous LAPD officers have engaged in racist, sexist, and gay invective against African Americans, Latinx, and lesbians over a long period of time. Celia's request to the LAPD in the lawsuit is simple. Finish what Chief Charlie Beck had started for his friend in January 2017, which was a criminal investigation of Darden's totally false and reprehensible report that Celia was threatening him and his family. When LAPD realized that Celia was innocent, it dropped the investigation. Darden continues to go after the mother of his child repeatedly by repeating the vile allegations made to Beck in 2017. It's further retaliation against Celia when Celia requested LAPD 2 or 3 weeks ago to conduct a welfare check of her 12-year-old daughter, who she learned is not doing well in the sole custody of Darden, who literally stole the child thanks to Judge William Weinberger, who would not allow Celia to speak or present evidence after she had raised her child as a single Black mother for 10 years. We need strong Black mothers to raise their daughters. It is critical today because of the gender racism which continues in the United States, encouraged by monsters like Trump and Musk, who themselves were victims of domestic violence. When Black women like Celia are abused by a government agency who promises to protect and defend, but instead harasses the domestic violence survivor like Celia and protects her perpetrator like that reprehensible Christopher Darden because he's an insider and gets everything he wants from LAPD, from the bar, and from LA Superior Court. It hurts every single one of us in this room. I am, and you are, connected to our sister Karina. You are connected to every family member who died, who had members die at the hands of LAPD officers. The officers themselves are as entangled with the people that they murder. We can't escape that we are all together in this mess. Jim McConnell, I beg you to stop this madness and force LAPD and its attorneys into a reasonable settlement with Celia. She has suffered enough thanks to LAPD, the bar, Los Angeles Superior Court, and Christopher Darden. For those who are interested in the federal lawsuit against Darden, LAPD, the bar, and the LA Superior Court, I have an email, LA Mothers for Justice, one word, lowercase, at yahoo.com. Thank you again, but don't forget, we have to look at the values, but they're soft, they're sissy. Who wants to listen to women suggesting that maybe if you sent in officers without guns, without uniforms, who are trained to deal with the mentally ill, we could have such a different city. And I can't thank enough for the young men and women standing up for the families and the victims of LAPD violence. We have to stop it. We are becoming a Trumpian universe. Thank you so much for your kind attendance to what I have to say. And I'd like to have this made part of the record. I only made 5 for the commissioners and the chair, but I beg you to consider we have to get rid of this violence.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have McAleese.
They going over
McAleese
time
next.
today or what?
Okay, Mr. President, that concludes public comment.
Thank you. The commission will now take a 10-minute recess. We will return at 11:15. Thank you.
I'm going to leave the webinar. Okay, you guys, I got Snorri McSnorpants over here. Sawn logs. Well, that was a different type of a meeting today, yes. Definitely, definitely very heavy. It is, and I know the comments from the week before, there was a comment, and then Phil Tabby's comment today, and I know I have put in a cure and correct about it. Can you still hear them? Yeah, I've got it muffled on mine. I've got it muted on mine. Okay, you guys. Phoenix Book Girl, please email me or audit. That would be a wonderful thing. I'm gonna take off, you guys. Thank you. Thanks for the surprise meeting.